different levels.
Mild, severe.
Circles of friends or acquaintances can be a wonderful experience, having people to share interests with or working together, for example. How do you do it? You might just look someone in the face, and if they acknowledge you welcomingly, either you or they would strike up a conversation. Maybe you'll just offer a helping hand out of the blue, which would be very much appreciated, even if it's just helping them to lift up a bench or something heavy and put it neatly into place. That might then lead to, how do you do? What's your name? Where do you come from? Warm environment. For some, maybe. But for others, it might be stressful. People who have AS and autism, due to their sensitivities, can find socialising very difficult, and it can be for many reasons. For one thing, their environment, proprioception again, proximity between themselves and everything else around them. Also, when we socialise, we might get somewhat physical, mightn't we? Patting someone on the shoulder or touching them to apologise for a little accident, like bumping into them in a small space. Well, it's advised not to touch them, at first certainly, because the individual might try to avoid it and maybe then will start to think they have AS or possibly autism. By which point, it's gold dust that we know, especially if they don't like talking about the condition. At first, maybe. But it would probably be a lot easier for us and for them if we knew beforehand about their condition, seeing as how it's invisible to begin with. But they are under no compulsion whatsoever to share it with us if they don't want to. In fact, it's worth mentioning that there are people worldwide who are introverts, and there are also extroverts. One example of an extrovert would be Luciano Pavarotti, very fond of life and often always happy and sociable, but such behaviour can be uncomfortable for those with AS and autism, particularly if they themselves are introverts, that is, people who like things to be done a little or maybe a lot smoother and quieter, depending on the level of their sensitivities. Other issues involved in the condition include struggling to make eye contact, reading body language, interpreting facial expressions. As we know, all sensitivities go together, and these common issues are probably related to their tendency to focus on minor detail. But we can't assume that that is correct, and it would probably lead into going into too much detail. In other words, overanalyzing. When you look at someone with a friendly face, how do they react? Sometimes, people with AS will not acknowledge us because they find it difficult to make eye contact, or maybe they just want to keep themselves to themselves, which is alright. And however sociable we may be, it is not acceptable to keep trying to make AS people join our circle of friends because that stresses them out. Possibly because their environment has an effect as well. That is, there might be other people around all of us, in a cafe for instance, which is often crowded. Big and or small spaces are uncomfortable for those with AS and autism, so we must never compel them to talk or join our circles if they don't want to. Besides, we must never do this to anyone, and in the worst case scenario, they'll probably just go and sit somewhere else away from us. It might be embarrassing for us afterwards, but we just have to leave them alone as we would with anyone. We all learn from our mistakes and move on. When looking at somebody's facial expression or body language, should these aspects look tense to us, well, if we know that they have AS, we can probably assume that they don't like what's happening around them. AS people don't like loud noises either, and unfortunately, there are disrespectful people who violate premises regulations, which include keeping noise down, and such people shout or cheer for numerous excuses, like the rugby or just because they want attention. People with AS and autism get particularly infuriated by such behaviours. Some AS people don't find it easy at all to mix in with other individuals, though they really want to. But however sensitive they are, maybe they'll try talking to us, but then get upset by something we say to them. something that was unintentionally upsetting. We can try to apologise and say it was unintentional, and in the worst case, they just won't want anything to do with us. There is nothing unusual about that, and their feelings have to be respected just as much as ours. It's rounded up that all aspects go together to cause effect on people's sensitivities. These aspects are the present environment, spatial awareness, facial expression, body language, tone of voice, loud noises including background radio music, as well as regulation violators. But social interaction isn't the only stressful aspect. Any kind of interaction can be a problem, be it in a meeting or a job interview or absolutely anything at all. In fact, some interactions are a lot more stressful than others, and people with AS and autism can misread the aspects due to their sensitivities, but they themselves can be misread as well. Perhaps if we looked out for possible symptoms whilst at the same time being patient with everybody in this world, it might make life much easier for every one of us.
Life Within Asperger Syndrome was presented and produced by Nath Trevett. If you have any questions, visit nathtrevett.com and post your feedback on the Asperger page. Thanks for listening.